Her world had grown smaller every day. The house she once called home no longer welcomed her. Her family had left her, turning away as if she did not exist. She sat on the porch, her thin arms wrapped around her knees, staring at the street that stretched into darkness. She was only 16, yet she already felt much older. Her dress was torn at the edges. Her shoes were worn thin. The night air pressed cold against her skin, but she did not move. She had nowhere to go. Every window in the house behind her stayed dark. No voice called her name. She listened to the silence, heavy and unkind. Hunger burned quietly in her stomach. Her heart was heavier than her body. The sound of a distant car passing broke the silence for a moment, then faded again. She wondered if this was all her life would ever be, waiting on empty steps, unseen and unwanted. She lowered her head. Her tears would not come anymore. She was too tired to cry, yet inside her heart, a small spark refused to die. Somewhere in the world, she believed, someone might still care. She did not know that her life was about to change in a way she could not yet imagine. Morning came slowly. The sky turned from gray to pale pink, but warmth did not reach her. She left the porch and walked down the empty street. The ground was rough under her thin shoes. Every step felt heavy, yet she moved forward. She did not know where the road would take her. Her heart was caught between fear and hope. She remembered how her family had turned their backs on her. The memory felt sharp, like broken glass in her chest. Still, she refused to stop. People passed her, busy with their own lives. None of them noticed the girl walking alone. She lowered her eyes and kept moving. A shop opened its door, and the smell of bread drifted out. Hunger pulled at her, but she had no money. She pressed her hand against her stomach and walked on. The world felt wide and cold, yet she kept telling herself she could survive. Her long hair hung loose around her tired face. Each breath showed in the cool morning air. She did not know that someone was watching her from a distance, someone whose eyes saw more than just a lonely girl. The road ahead held something she had never imagined. Near the corner of the street, a man stood by a sleek black car. His suit was neat, his shoes polished, and his face carried the calm of someone used to order. He was a man of means, known by many, though not by her. His eyes followed the girl as she walked. He saw her worn dress, the way her shoulders curved inward as if the world pressed too hard on her. He noticed her slow steps and the tiredness in her face. Most people would have looked past her, but not him. Something about her silence spoke to him louder than words. He remembered times in his own life when he had felt alone, though his wealth had hidden it well from others. He stepped forward slightly, but then paused. He did not want to frighten her. Instead, he waited, letting her come closer to where he stood. The morning sun grew brighter, and the sound of the city began to rise. Still, his attention stayed on the girl. He wondered who she was and why she walked with such sorrow at such a young age. Deep inside, he felt the pull to act, though he had not yet decided how. She slowed her steps as she reached the corner. The black car stood like a shadow by the street. Her eyes lifted slightly and met the man's. For a moment, her body froze. She did not trust strangers. Her life had taught her caution. The man, however, did not look unkind. His smile was small, almost hesitant, as if he did not want to scare her. "Are you all right?" he asked softly. His voice carried calm, not demand. She lowered her gaze, unsure if she should answer. The air between them felt fragile, like thin glass. He took a step back, giving her space. "You look tired," he said. "Would you like some water?" From the open car door, he picked up a sealed bottle and held it out. She hesitated, her fingers twitching at her side. Hunger and thirst pressed against her fear. Slowly, she reached for the bottle, her eyes still wary. He placed it gently into her hand, not moving closer. "You don't need to tell me anything," he said quietly. "Just drink." She opened the cap and sipped, the cool water easing her dry throat. For the first time in many days, she felt a little less invisible. She whispered, "Thank you." They found a bench near the street. The girl sat at one end, clutching the water bottle with both hands. The man sat at the other end, leaving space between them. He did not rush her. Instead, he looked out at the road, giving her time. "What's your name?" he asked gently. She hesitated, her lips pressed tight. Then she whispered, "Anna." He nodded slowly, repeating it softly, as if to remember. "Anna," he said, "that's a strong name." She glanced at him, studying his calm face. His suit and car told her he was wealthy, far beyond anything she had known. Yet his tone was simple, not proud. "Do you have somewhere to go?" he asked. Her eyes dropped to the ground. She shook her head. Silence stretched between them. The sound of passing cars filled the air. Finally, he said, "You don't need to explain if you don't want to. But if you need help, I can offer it." Her chest tightened. She wanted to believe his words, yet fear pulled her back. She had trusted before and been abandoned. Still, his presence felt steady, not like others who had walked away. Her fingers tightened around the bottle. Deep inside, a question formed. Could she trust him? Anna stayed silent for a long time. She stared at the cracks in the pavement, afraid to let her story slip out. The man did not push her. He waited, his hands resting calmly on his knees. Finally, in a low voice, she said, "My family. They don't want me anymore." The words were heavy, falling into the air like stones. His chest tightened as he listened. He saw the truth in her tired face, the loneliness carved deep in her eyes. "I'm sorry," he said simply. No questions, no judgment, just sorrow shared. She swallowed hard. "I don't know where to go." The noise of the city swirled around them, but neither noticed. The world had narrowed to a girl who had lost everything, and a man who had more than enough to give. "You don't have to stay alone," he said after a pause. "Sometimes life takes people away, but it can also bring new people in." Anna looked at him carefully, unsure what he meant. His gaze stayed steady, warm but not forceful. "If you allow me," he said softly, "I can help you, not as a stranger, but as someone who wants to care." Anna's heart trembled. The idea sounded impossible, yet his voice carried no lies. They sat in silence for a while longer. The sun had climbed higher, warming the cool morning air. Finally, the man stood and turned to her. He held out his hand, not commanding but inviting. Anna's eyes moved from his hand to his face. She saw patience there, not pressure. For a moment, fear battled hope inside her chest. Then slowly, almost shyly, she placed her hand in his. His palm was warm, his grip steady but gentle. "Come," he said, "let's find you a safe place." They walked together toward his car. Anna's steps were small, cautious, yet she did not pull away. The car shone in the light, too fine for someone like her. She hesitated at the door, clutching the bottle of water. "You don't have to be afraid," he said softly. "I promise you are safe." She nodded, though her heart beat fast. The door opened, and she slid inside, her eyes wide as she looked around at the soft leather seats and polished details. It felt like another world. The car moved smoothly through the streets. Anna sat with her hands folded tightly in her lap. She looked out the window, watching the city pass in blurs of color and sound. Every turn of the wheels took her farther from the place where her family had left her. Still, fear lingered inside her. She glanced at the man from the corner of her eye. He drove with ease, his face calm, his eyes focused. There was no rush in him, no anger, only steady silence. "You don't need to be scared," he said gently, noticing her stiff shoulders. "I won't harm you." His words were simple, but they held weight. She nodded slightly, though her throat felt tight. "Where are we going?" she asked softly. "To my home," he replied. "It's a safe place. You can rest there." Anna's heart skipped. She could not imagine what his home would be like. A stranger's house frightened her, but his tone carried no danger. She turned back to the window, pressing her forehead lightly against the glass. The tall gates opened slowly, their iron bars glinting in the sunlight. The car rolled forward onto a long driveway lined with trees. Anna pressed her face closer to the glass, her eyes wide. She had never seen anything like it. Green lawns stretched on both sides, neat and endless. Flowers bloomed in bright colors. At the end of the path stood a mansion, tall and grand, its windows shining like mirrors. The doors opened, and Anna stepped inside. The hall stretched before her, wide and bright. Tall ceilings rose above, hung with lights that glowed like stars. The floor shone so clear she could see the faint reflection of her thin frame. The scent of food filled the dining room. Plates of warm bread, steaming soup, and fresh fruit covered the long table. Anna sat on one end, her small hands resting near a spoon. She had not seen so much food in one place before. Her stomach growled quietly, yet she hesitated. The man sat across from her, calm. "Please," he said softly, "eat as much as you want." Anna lifted the spoon with shaking fingers and took a sip of soup. Warmth spread through her body. She ate slowly, but each bite gave her strength she had lost. For the first time, she was not eating scraps or going hungry. She was being cared for. Later, He showed her a quiet bedroom with soft curtains and a neat bed. Anna touched the pillow, disbelief in her eyes. "This is for me," she whispered. "Yes," he said. "This is your room now." Tears filled her eyes as she sat on the bed. Fragile hope breaking through her fear. Days turned into weeks. In the library, she read aloud from books while he listened with pride. In the garden, she walked among flowers, her face brighter, her steps stronger. She thanked him not only for the house, but for giving her something greater. One evening, in the living room, Anna leaned her head on his shoulder. His hand rested gently on her back. "You don't have to be afraid anymore," he whispered. She smiled faintly. "I believe you." Her eyes closed, peace settling over her at last. She was no longer abandoned. She was chosen.